keep it alive through these lines I write. I keep it live cause I thrive. I might just blow your mind tonight. I'm so hyped, but it's no hype. From this height, it's direct hits on sight. I'm your type, lend me your ears to show you that there's something in me. I'm not giving up, I'm standing right here, holding these days hostage. And I'll make this my year. We turning fear into love, and the love's in the air. I love doing this cause nothing compares. Nothing can share that same type of feeling when you feeling them flares. They can't catch it, it's havoc. I rip to a tear, switch a scenario. My stereos, I leave them impaired. Variables start to change and they're all in my range. I just gotta grab it, it's all mathematics. Every step is drastic, I make it fantastic. I'm trying to take your breath away. Asthmatic.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
Yeah, just nod your head with it. So explicit and vivid. Every image is intricate, intimate. I put my all into it. No scrimmage and no rules. I'm a pro tool. Hear my heartbeat beat into the vocals. I'm so loco, lost my mind, oh no. It's ponderoso, dope, so no overdose cause it's dope, yo. Man, this is house grown, mixed with some milestones. So I let the style flow down like the Dow Jones. Bringing it with some foul tones, letting the crowd know we getting loud, so it's eardrum rudiments. Yeah, we bring it rude again. Move, little hooligan. Music for tuning in. Full time to the 10. I'm on my clock like I told you. I'm doing this for dreams we pursuing.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio Show. Once again with your host, Nick Bernabe, here on ucy.tv and the antimedia.org/radio. Thank you all for tuning back in, and I'm really happy to be back on this Monday, May 8th, 2017. We are living in the twilight zone. Donald Trump is president, and people are mad that a fascist lost the presidential election. And an independent one who co-opted an independent movement because that guy's a Rothschild banker, and he's basically an actual banker version of Hillary Clinton. So France is screwed, and, you know, but... interesting thing, and I guess I shouldn't be so surprised at this point because a bunch of my friends and people who I thought were like freedom-loving people and all that wound up voting for Donald Trump or supporting Donald Trump here in the United States. A bunch of people are, well, France is so screwed because Marine Le Pen lost the election. Marine Le Pen is an imbecile, an idiot, a scapegoating fearmonger that plays on the emotions of the ignorant. No. France wouldn't have been better off with Marine Le Pen. They're not better off with the guy that won either, but they would not have definitely been better off with Marine Le Pen people. You know, I made a Facebook update today on the gatekeeping internet social media platform about how we should not be trying to replace neoliberal globalism with reactionary neo-fascist nationalism. Like, one is not better than the other. Yeah, neoliberalism sucks. Globalism sucks. But Donald Trump and Marine Le Pen and the alt-right are no better. It's not like an improvement, not even slightly. I mean, the argument should be made which is worse, not which is better. You know, and so all the sudden experts on French politics in my newsfeed pissing me off. Just shut the hell up. You guys don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm getting to this point now where I'm just getting fed up with people, man. Like, people are so dumb. Pisses me off now. I used to be like, oh, well, maybe I can try to understand these idiots. No, you're dumb. You just pissed me off. Anyway. I don't want to get carried on too far here. I'm not in a great mood. For various reasons. I mean, a bunch of different reasons. I mean, our country is trying to start a war with North Korea for no fucking reason. Like, what are we doing over there trying to start a war with North Korea? They have not attacked anybody. Nobody. We're starting a war up just to start a war up. Just to make money for people like the guy who just won the French election. And Donald Trump is doing that dirty work. as if he were some kind of non-interventionist, libertarian-leaning dude on foreign policy. No, he's not. There's no difference between if Donald Trump would have won or Hillary Clinton would have won. Same exact foreign policy, if not worse. So, I mean, maybe it's a good thing that Donald won and that the Brexit thing happened. Maybe it's a good thing that Le Pen is gaining and that movement is getting more mainstream over there, because maybe we just need to see that fail too. So people can say, okay, well, that doesn't work either. Maybe we just need to actually see it happen. Just because, I guess if you're not smart enough to look at the situation, say, oh, well, that person's scapegoating and they're xenophobic and they're spreading hate. If you're not smart enough to see that that's a problem to begin with, then, maybe it takes something even more ridiculous having to hit you over the head so you can learn about it. Anyway, not to be a pessimist or anything. Jake Anderson, our awesome journalist, is joining us tonight. Where in the world is DB Schwartz? I don't know. The guy's like globetrotting or something. I don't know. What is DB doing? I have no clue.
He's in the New Jersey airport bathroom. Last I checked.
Is he trying to play footsie with some GOP politician in the bathroom or something?
Yeah, he's getting down and dirty in the New Jersey airport bathroom. Oh man, yeah, Nick, you're feeding tigers on Facebook, man. I've been looking at your posts, and yeah, I guess people, are going to cling to their faction, and I think that's the real, at a very base level. I think humans, if you want to say that they're stupid, it's more of a primal factionalism that still seems to take place, which is that even though there's clear flaws in what you're doing, you cling to it because that's your faction, that's your tribe. And, Trump voters who were pretty explicitly clear as to why they were voting for him now have seen all of those reasons disappear. He's not an anti-interventionist. He's not anti-NATO. He's not really anti the neoliberal globalist order. I mean, he's basically now coming out and saying that, he's kind of both a nationalist and a globalist. They gave him the talk, and they let him know what's what and what he's going to do. And guess what? Whether it's a neoliberal globalist agenda or a nationalist agenda, it looks like it's still the same people running it. It's the deep state, and they're amorphous and seemingly able to adjust to factionalist creeds. They're no matter who's in there, and no matter what they told the voters, no matter what the voters want, they're going to keep this was a challenge for them. They had to kind of re-encode their power around what appeared to be an outsider. I don't know. I mean, I guess we could have arguments till the cows come home as to whether Donald Trump was really an outsider or not.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter now.
It doesn't matter, but I think it's a little naive to now say, oh, he wasn't. Why all of a sudden are you in that much of denial that they can change things to make them the way they want it? Like, why is he not an outsider now all of a sudden? He was an outsider. This is just what happens to outsiders. If you're an outsider and you come into Washington, you do what they say or you go the way of JFK. And I didn't really intend that to rhyme, but it did. But that's just the fact of the matter is, and Trump voters are realizing it. And humans are up shit creek without a paddle right now, man. We got to figure out how, in God's name, we're going to get out of the 21st century alive. Yeah.
Stephen Hawking, I know you've covered him plenty of times, Jake. has increasingly releases dire predictions, and they've grown extremely urgent. It seems. I don't know if you saw the most recent one, but now he's saying you guys got 100 years left before you got to abandon the Earth and get out of here because the assholes running the show are going to kill you all. That's what Stephen Hawking is now saying, basically. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that we need to come up with a new strategy because what we've been doing, and you got to understand to all of our listeners out there, and I'm sure you guys probably feel at least partially the same way. Look, we've been plugging away at this effort for 4 years now, and I've been busting my ass every day, 10, 12, sometimes longer hours a day, 6 days a week. I take only Sundays off. SM Gibson works gets Saturday off, and I get Sunday off. We work 6 days a week each. And despite all of the progress we've done, we've reached hundreds of millions of people. We've got well over 2 million followers on social media. We've got a website that's, in the top 10,000 websites in the country. And we've been doing it for 4 years, and it's only gotten worse. It's only gotten worse. And so you got to realize the frustration I have is seeing all this work go not in vain, but something close to it, and just seeing the country get divided in half. And now I'm seeing my brothers and sisters in the street beating each other over the head with sticks because they have slight political differences. There's major trends in history. And this may be one of those times where we're fighting a battle that is extremely uphill to the point where it may be unwinnable. Because even my own personal friends, family, people who I used to consider like principled, freedom-loving people, a majority of them have fallen into this trap of just left-right bullshit, not doing anything productive. In fact, just encouraging the divide and one against the other, and choosing to fight against things that are not the root of the problem. There's that famous saying, I think it was by Thoreau, where he said, for every 1,000 people striking at the branches of tyranny, only one strikes at the root. And, unfortunately, all the people who thought they were or maybe they were fighting the root of tyranny. In 2016 election, everyone just started hacking at the branches instead, and that's what's going on right now. Everyone's like, well, we have to stop Antifa because Antifa is they're basically just as bad as the fascists, and the actual fascists are like, and I mean, it's just.
May I proffer an explanation for that, and this is probably somewhat controversial to your listeners, but it's just my personal belief. So many of the freedom fighters that you would identify with through this network are more on the libertarian anarcho-capitalist side. And I think why they're having to resort to hacking the branches now and hacking at each other is more factionalist denial of the root system in place right now. Global capitalism doesn't work. And I know that's a controversial point of view, but it's my point of view, which is that the social inequity that is grown out of this current system. Now, I'm not saying, like communism, I'm not saying that there's no circumstances under which capitalism could work, but the current system, implementation of it, is leaving hundreds of millions of people without basic necessities. And we have the resources to provide for everyone. And right, I get it. Non-aggression principle. Some people see it as coercion to be forced to provide resources for other people based on your resources. But I think that humanity is a collectivist organization. We evolved collectively through a collective of different organic processes. We live together as collectivists. I don't see why the utilization of the earth, which does not belong to us, it was here before we got here. So I don't see how property is created out of that. And I think we have to work collectively to share the resources of the earth. I really think that's the only way we're going to get out of this. Left to our own devices and greed and swallowing property and resources, we've seen what happens from that. Nothing good ever happens when human greed is let loose upon the earth.
Yeah, man. I mean, capitalism, socialism, communism, all of it is just another name for oligarchy, right? I mean, have you seen a communist country that wasn't an oligarchy? Have you seen a capitalist country that was an oligarchy? I mean, they just have different names and they try different systems. In the end, it comes down to one thing. A handful of people have all the control and all the power and all the money, and everyone else are the serfs, the peasants.
Well, the communist countries, they screw their own, but they don't. I mean, and you look, this is about as controversial as you can get, commies versus fascists. But you know, and communist dictators, yes, have killed millions and millions and millions, but usually within their own country. They don't go. You don't see many communists trying to take over the world. Whereas in a neoliberal corporate fascist system that we have right now, you see us actively trying to take over the world, and fascists are trying to actively take over the world. Now, I'm not defending communism against fascism, but they're very similar. They're so incredibly similar, and like you said, oligarchy, but it is a different kind of oligarchy. And I mean, we could sit here and debate all day, but capitalism is only in one of those systems. Well, no, it's in both of them. I don't know. But we're gonna run out of Earth. We're gonna run out of resources. Like, I don't know why people can't see that. And for better or for not, we're gonna have some major technological advances that are going to be coming soon. They may be able to help. But I don't see exponential growth in a finite system. I don't see how that's a workable system. No one's ever been able to explain to me how exponential growth in a finite system is a sustainable way of growing the human race.
Yeah, we got limited resources. I think you bring up a great point, though, about, I think the bigger issue here, it's not capitalism, it's not socialism. I think it's just states suck. States suck, and every state that exists and everyone that has existed has, in one way or another, been unjust. Whether it's the Soviet Union, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Israel, the United States, Mexico, Canada, they all suck in their own way. In Canada, you got the deforestation, you got the tar sands, you got all the native women and children who've just up and disappeared. No one even knows where they're at. No one even bothers even talking about it. United States, we know what we've done. A lot of bad things. The Mexican government is about as corrupt as they come. China censors the shit out of its people. Russia kills gay people. Like, every state sucks. They all suck. So...
You get a car. You get a car.
Yeah, Oprah's calling. She wants her damn slogan back. So, and the problem is here, the political conversation in this country, and I guess in other places, I know it's obviously going on in France, it's, well, I want my state to be in power, and I want my state to tell people what to do, and I want my state to control the border, and I want my state to control the economy, and I want my state to do this, and I want my state to do that, and
Man, it was so hilarious watching this inverted replica of our last election take place in France. I mean, it really was, although didn't Macron, I mean, he used to run a socialist party, right?
Well, look, the party that is currently in power in France is quote unquote socialist.
Right.
But they're also imperialists. Or whatever.
It's a co-opted.
They're just statists. They're statists, but they call themselves socialists, basically, right?
Yeah.
and I guess he was like a finance minister in 2014 or something. The guy's a Rothschild banker, But here's the thing, and this is the big lesson that I think we should be talking about that nobody is that Macron started that party. It's called En Marche. I don't know how to say it in French, but I guess it basically means we march. It's a political movement that is only like a little over a year old, and it's a third party. It's an independent party, and he won in a landslide. Now,
yeah, I think if maybe anything good can come out of it, it's that the third party system there. I think it's pretty interesting that.
Thing though, like in regular circumstance, I would be like, holy shit, this is awesome. A third party just upset the two-party establishment in France, which has held power since World War II. It's been a long time. It's been 70 years since another party has taken power in France. But the fact that he did it so easily, and the fact that it all happened like this, and the media somehow totally backed this guy. In fact, a bunch of leaks came out like right before the election, a couple of days before the election, and the media decided that they weren't even going to cover it. So basically, this is, to me, a cautionary tale, because I think France, the political establishment in France was like, oh shit, you know what? Like they have, all these guys have internal polling. They know what the people are thinking. They're like, holy shit, we're going to get uprooted in this next election unless we do something. And I think what they did is they rebranded their neoliberal establishment around this new guy. And they said, oh, here's a third party, a fresh party, a new face. Yeah. We're going to put this guy in power. And basically,
I could see the Democrats doing that.
Yeah, imagine Hillary Clinton running as the Green Party candidate and winning. And
then she's already calling herself the Resistance.
Yeah, the Resistance takes office, right? And that's what happened in France. It's not a win for third party candidates. He's not anti-establishment. He co-opted a legitimate anti-establishment movement, and basically they turned a major activist anti-establishment momentum into Hillary Clinton. That's what happened in France. So that's something that we should be very cautionary about here in the United States, because that's exactly what would happen here. If and when the two parties finally do realize, oh shit, we're going to lose power this next election, then a third party all of a sudden is going to be legitimate. All of a sudden the media is going to give them attention. All of a sudden there's going to be a candidate that could actually win, and it's just going to be another asshole from the establishment, basically.
All they're doing here in America is they're going back and forth with little samples of pet civil liberty issues and identity politics issues, and they're swaying back and forth like a pendulum, satisfying liberal voters and then satisfying conservative voters. You get Obama in office, you give them some gay rights. You get Trump in office, you secure gun rights. It's a swinging pendulum going back and forth, but they're never going to address the underlying deep state war machine that's going on corporatist war machine that's going on underneath. And that's the saddest thing to me about the Antifa versus alt-right, is that on some of the most core issues, if they join together, it could actually be a formidable force that could cause massive change on the issues that they care the most about, which is the corrupt economic order and the interventionist military-industrial complex wars. And there's probably a couple other issues they could see eye to eye on. I could see both sides coming together on pollution, even though the alt-right doesn't want the EPA, but they still don't want, polluted waterways and whatnot, I would imagine. I mean, I could see multiple issues. People are just the only way to stop. We've talked about this before. I start sounding like a broken record on this, but I really do think that there's not going to be a legitimate challenge to the deep state and the established order until there is a coalition of alt-left and alt-right. I
think you're right. And, here's my beef that I've been having since, that I was talking about the beginning of the show. You're right. And that's exactly what we've been trying to work towards for the last 4 years.
Right. Yeah. That's why I love the anti-media, is it's doing that exact thing.
We've utterly failed.
No, you didn't. There's no there is no win or loss here, man. You've said it before. This is a 100-year end game. Hopefully not quite literally in the Stephen Hawking concept, but this you've said it yourself, man. This is the work of centuries, and it's gonna take everyone's got to play their role and do their best. We're not gonna see the goal line, man. We're not gonna see all the children holding hands and laughing together, man. But this is the great, ideological war. These are issues humans have been putting off for a long time. We never escaped the feudal order. We never have learned how to live on the earth sustainably. And until some of these things happen, it's just going to keep on like this. And, unfortunately, we've created weapons that can destroy the earth. So, it's unfortunate that we're in the situation we're in. But I don't think you failed, man. I think you have succeeded in maintaining a middle ground through this without capitulating and catering to the alt-right voices that so wanted you to come on board.
I think the problem is the middle has shrunk.
Right.
The middle has shrunk, and it's now it's the left and right have become further polarized, and you're either anti-fascist and you're shutting down people who are voicing opinions that are ugly opinions. I'll acknowledge that. Or you're alt-right, where you think that Muslims and are the scourge of the earth, and leftists are the biggest political issue facing humanity, and there's white Christians are facing a genocide.
Unbelievable.
And unfortunately, the middle has shrunk, and that's what sucks. Is here at the Anti-Media, I'm an anarchist, and I've got libertarian ideals on many issues, but the movement that we've been trying to build, like you said, a unification of people on the left and the right who can agree on some major issues, that definitely feels like the 2016 election has furthered the divide, not brought it closer together. Maybe hopefully towards the end of Trump's term, people will start seeing eye to eye again.
It was necessary. It was an inevitable fracture, though, because there's been tension. It's like a fault line, a tectonic fault line. The more the pressure builds, the bigger the quake is going to be when it finally breaks, and that's exactly what's happened. These are long overdue tensions that we're building over gun rights, over xenophobia, over racism, over the government and the use of the government, and also anti-Islamic. Unfortunately, anti-Islamism came in there after the war on terror, and that's become like a pet issue of the alt-right, which is really unfortunate that they're not able to see through their own propaganda here. But this was my point is this was inevitable, this breach, and so it's good that we're getting it out now. It's good that this is a new cultural war that's going to go on for a long time, but it was inevitable. So we might as well just start the conversation now and hopefully keep it as nonviolent as long as we possibly can.
Yeah, it's just, the thing to me that is frustrating is that us centrists that aren't extremely on one end or the other are getting kind of squeezed out, and more people are having to pick a side.
Right.
Of course, I'm not choosing sides here. I think I talked about this in a show a few weeks ago, that obviously, demographically speaking, as a young, part black, part Native American individual, I obviously do not identify with the alt-right, like, at all. White nationalism is not in my vocabulary at all, like, nowhere. If people who think that way had their way, I wouldn't exist. My ancestors would have been killed off, and shit, a lot of them probably were. That I don't even know about, because I don't even know my family history, because my family had to hide their history so that they didn't get too persecuted and shit like that. No way in the world do I identify with the alt-right, and I find it very unfortunate that people, like I said, in the libertarian movement have drifted in that direction, and the ANCAPs, who now I almost find repulsive, in many of them, because they're just so just not in reality at all. But it's sad that people who like understand the concepts of freedom have fallen for this alt-right trap, which is, in my opinion, like I think it's what the establishment wants. You know, they want the far left being, you know, polarized by the Antifa,
Yeah.
far right being polarized by the alt-right, and they want them battling it out in the streets so that we do have to pick sides and so that we neutralize each other instead of neutralizing the problem, which is the state.
Yeah, if we're fighting each other, we're not fighting them. And the more we get caught up on smaller issues, I mean, not that, you know, not smaller issues, but
Identity politics.
Identity politics is important, but let's be honest, it's not the ultimate end game. Human rights for all people is obviously huge, but even that's not. I mean, we've declared war on the earth, and we've been at war for centuries and centuries. And now the weapons we have are dangerous, very scary and dangerous, and we're depleting the resources of the earth, and we're leaving behind generational ecocide, basically. Our children and grandchildren are going to inherit a poisoned earth, poisoned air, poisoned water, poisoned soil. It cannot be overstated. The form of genocide that we are taking place in the way that we're treating the earth, and it's part of one of the larger issues, and we get distracted from that kind of thing, and you know, it's really sad, man. It's really sad.
Well, Jake, I hate to break it to you, but it was cold today in San Diego. And, you know, basically what I'm saying, it was cold today, so climate change is not real.
And it was hot here in Portland. It was hot and sunny here in Portland. And wasn't it raining and cold there?
Yeah, so therefore, you know, climate change is not real. Just kidding.
Right, because, you know, day-to-day temperatures define global climatic weather patterns.
I don't know, dude. Maybe I'm just having a bad day. Maybe I'm just frustrated as hell because of the state of the world. Maybe I'm just mad because so many dumb fucks in my newsfeed were crying about Le Pen losing the damn election.
Yeah, that would drive one nuts. You know, it's so funny to me how our Facebook experiences are so vastly different.
She was running a campaign on hate, xenophobia, scapegoating.
I mean, everything you get from all this shit you get from the alt-right and ANCAPs, I get the exact inverted opposite of it from my, you know, neoliberal democratic friends who are still talking about the Russian hacking, still talking about it, and so disillusioned and so just it's all just tribal factionalism, man. That's what I keep coming back to. That's what keeps humans going right now, with their religions, with their little groups, with their little identities. We're just monkeys, man. We're just animals in trees holding our babies, except it happens to be houses and cars and whatnot. But we're still just these ignorant animals that don't know how to live on an earth. And it's just sad, man. It's because it just blows my mind. Me and you have completely different experiences on Facebook, and yet they're the same. It's people that are brainwashed by propaganda.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? By all means, have your religion, have your political viewpoints, have your beliefs. That's all fine and dandy. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't care if someone's religious. I don't. But
people start imposing their beliefs,
right,
imposing their viewpoints, imposing their standards and their biases and their opinions on other people, is where we run into these major issues. You know, where, you know, when you're, you know, I mean, you guys know what I mean. Imposing people on the left and the right want to impose their will, and they want to ban gay marriage or ban abortion or force everyone to pay for healthcare and force people to pay for things they don't want, whatever. That's where the problem lies, is everyone wants to force their opinion on everybody else, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier. The alt-right and the alt-left, all they want to do is force other people to do things the way they think they should be done.
Well,
And
it's the regular left and the regular right too.
yeah, yeah. And that's the big problem here. And I thought we were making headway on that front. And then everyone lost their minds in this last election and went retarded. They went full retard. And you're never supposed to go full retard, dude. So, you know, it's just depressing. It's frustrating. Anyway, we got some news stories. There's a good positive story, kind of. The last living Nuremberg prosecutor, who was one of the guys who helped prosecute the Nazis, he's speaking out now against war. I mean, this is pretty big. I mean, if anybody knows the dangers of war and the ugliness of war, I mean, this guy was in charge. He was in the army. He was a Romanian Jewish immigrant to the United States, and he felt compelled to join the military. He went and he got denied from the Air Force and the Marines because he was too short. The guy was only like 5 foot tall. And then he was accepted into the army because, you know, they were desperate. They were about to have, you know, they were getting ready for D-Day and all that stuff. And this guy went and he was part of the Battle of the Bulge. But then they tasked him with investigating the concentration camps so that they could build the cases against some of these Nazis for like war crimes and stuff. So this guy has seen it all. Like, he's seen the ugliness, the just mass extermination that is capable, that human beings are capable of. And so he's speaking out against war, and basically he's saying, like, war is never justified. He's saying, he basically is saying that anybody can be made into a killer because of nationalism and patriotism and, you know, propaganda and stuff. And so this is a really good article by Carrie Wedler over on the antimedia.org. It's the main story pinned at the top, and I'm seeing now it's got 9 upvotes, so it's getting a lot of people reading it and stuff. So this to me is a really important story. Let me find a good little quote here out of what he said. There's just so many. He's got so many good quotes here. It's hard to like pick one out. Okay, here we go. He says about soldiers who have done horrible things in war. He says, quote, "He's a patriotic human being acting in the interests of his country in his mind. Do you think the man who dropped the nuclear bomb on Hiroshima was a savage? Now I will tell you something very profound, which I have learned after many years. War makes murderers out of otherwise decent people. All wars and all decent people." And this is a universal truth. And it goes back to I guess this super state nationalism, tribalism, the stuff that we've been talking about here tonight. Because, you know, the United States, give us a reason to unite. I mean, this country will unite, but only for bad reason, you know, only for war. That's the only thing we're going to come together for, or, you know, maybe a massive terrorist attack like 9/11. Remember after 9/11, there's all those pictures. It's like, oh, here's our street before 9/11, and then here's our street after 9/11. Everyone's got an American flag up, right? You know, only bad shit unites us. Even like the Olympics and the Super Bowl and all the sports things, it's like, oh, well, it's one team or the other, and the country remains divided. But war and atrocities bring people together, and that's how they mobilize people. After 9/11, we saw what happened. We started the war on terror, and we basically said, we don't give a shit. Any country that the government says is bad, and we're going to bomb them, and we're okay with it. And that's basically what he's saying here. You're like, you know what? Like, men are not bad men. individually speaking. But give them a reason to act patriotic. Give them a mission that is to like save their country. Even if it means going and saying, "Oh, well, you got to wipe out every single Muslim," for instance. Like, let's just say that. Let's say there was a massive terrorist attack on a big city, like a big terror attack. Let's just say, and it was blamed on some Muslim terrorist, and our government said, "You know what? There's only one way left to deal with this. We have to wipe out all the Muslims." There's a lot of people in this country who would say, "You know what?" And shit, the alt-right would be on the front lines. There would be a lot of people that would say, "Yeah, let's do it. We're ready. Let's go do it. Send us." And they may not be doing it because they're evil people, but they've given a patriotic duty. They become capable of doing bad things because they think that it's a necessary evil. And so that's what this article is all about. Highly suggest reading it. This guy maybe has more experience witnessing war than anybody left alive on this earth. So I think his opinion is very, very valid, and something to look at. He's not saying, "Oh, well, yeah, the U.S. is a hero," or he's not saying, "Oh, the USSR was a hero against the Nazis." He's not even saying that the Nazis themselves, like the individual guys that wound up doing this nasty work for the Nazis, he's not even saying no that they were like really, really bad men inherently. He's saying no, they were probably good people, but they were misled by nationalism and patriotism. And this is all the more relevant today because obviously with what's going on with this nationalist wave, which maybe has slowed down a little bit now that the French election is over, but there's no doubt that it's there. I mean, it elected Donald Trump. It is responsible for Brexit. It is responsible for Marine Le Pen. This nationalist rising, which of course is reactionary to globalism, which of course is an issue. It's a big issue. It's dangerous. This nationalism stuff is dangerous because it's going to lead to wars. As if the world isn't already having enough issues with war, this new wave of nationalism is going to make it a lot worse. So hopefully we take this guy's words and learn from them, because if not, we're going to be repeating some mistakes that caused the deaths of, I don't know, 100 million people in World War II. So yeah, something big to look at. Another story that is pretty controversial here. It's good and it's bad. 900 pedophiles taken down, 300 children saved. It's a good thing, obviously, that they took these pedophiles down this pedophile ring, but the means in which they did it is very controversial. Jake, I don't know if you saw this article, but I'm sure you're familiar with the story. The backstory here is the FBI had basically taken over this child porn site called Playpen,
Right.
Which was on the dark web, and then the FBI took it over, and the FBI operated it for several weeks, in which during that time the website grew from 11,000 users to 50,000.
Right. So they basically ran a child porn site.
Yeah, basically. And so the FBI, the reason why this case started to gain news coverage started a few months ago was because they had a guy who was a pedophile, and they had to let him go because the FBI didn't want to disclose the way that it entrapped this guy. And so it started to become a news story, and people were trying to ask questions about it. But yeah, the FBI basically took over this website on the dark web and then used it to entrap a bunch of people. And so now they've arrested 900 people because of it. But it remains controversial because the FBI was basically operating a child porn site for a while. So this is just another one of those really crazy stories.
That was this story has been evolving over a few years, right?
Yeah, it's been ongoing. Yeah, I guess it's been ongoing at least since last year for sure. I don't know how long exactly they've been doing this, but since last year is when I first heard about it. So yeah, I don't know, dude. It's a really strange case. I really don't know how to feel about this. But obviously the FBI shouldn't be operating child porn sites, but at the same time, I am glad that they've got 900 pedophiles off the streets and now 300 kids are safe, because of this investigation. So one of those things. Where else are we at? Ron Paul says Trump should play more golf. I agree with him. Play golf, Donald Trump. Don't be in there signing executive orders and signing legislation. Because we don't need you making those decisions. We're human beings. We have our own brains. We have our own will. We can make our own decisions, right? And I made a post on Facebook a while back, a couple days, maybe last week sometime, about this very situation where a bunch of liberals are like, well, Donald Trump's always playing golf. He's playing golf. And then when Obama was president, it was actually the conservatives that, well, Obama's just playing golf. Why is he playing so much golf? He should be in Washington. So it's one of those things where the hypocrisy is like huge, because all of a sudden the same conservatives who were bitching and moaning about Obama playing golf are now acting like, well, it's not a big deal when Trump's doing it. And then the liberals who were like, why are you always complaining about Obama playing golf, are now like, why is Donald Trump playing so much golf? So a bunch of hypocrites across the aisles here. But I come from the perspective of leave him on the damn golf course permanently. Don't let him come back. Better off out there shooting balls than over here dropping bombs on countries and, signing executive orders and whatever else this guy wants to do. So stay on the golf course, Trump. Bunch of stuff in their news and my news over on the antimedia.org. Thank you all for submitting posts in the My News section. Just a quick overview. You guys go sign up on the website. You can post articles. And then we'll just quickly fact check them, publish them, and then they can be upvoted and downvoted. So we're not like jamming news stories down everybody's throats. It's kind of like, we choose what we write from our writers. They choose their stories and the editors. But you guys can submit the stories and upvote and downvote so we know what's important to you, so that you can help us kind of generate a news narrative from our site that we all kind of share in creating. Which I think is the cool, one of the innovative things that we're doing besides making memes on Facebook and stuff is, actually providing a platform for people to voice their concerns or the things that they like, or, cool innovations or whatever it is that you guys like following. You can go post it there and we'll get it out for you. So thank you all for whoever's already posting. Thank you for doing that. Whoever's not that's listening, please start posting so that we could have more and more stories and content up there, and so everyone can see the stuff that you think is important, because why not? Information. We're in an age of information. So much of it. There's bad information. There's good information. There's propaganda. There's bullshit. There's lies. There's legit fake news. There's fake news. There's false news. There's, a bunch of other stuff out there. But all we can do is try to make sense of it all. And that's what we're trying to do with our website, is get good information out there that you may not see other places. And that the political establishment typically is not trying to let you see. Because
Nick,
I
have an article coming your way tomorrow, and I think our listeners will be excited to hear that a tech company is going to use artificial intelligence to translate dolphin communications. They're actually going to create a dictionary of the dolphin language.
Whoa, dude, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it on Futurism and just kind of covered a little bit and, invoked some great science fiction novel called Startide Rising, where humans and dolphins together are uplifted as a more advanced species, and I don't think we're going to get to that point, obviously, but and then of course there's the dark side of it, where the Navy has already used dolphins before to find mines, and God knows what they'll do now if we start learning more about their communication. But man, I just think about maybe reading a conversation between two dolphins. I mean, that's insane. That's like basically that's like you know, are it's almost like discovering aliens because except they're right here on the Earth.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting, man. Yeah, and they've been weaponizing dolphins for a while. They've also got this gun that they can attach on the nose of the dolphin, and they could kind of use it to, like they'll have it looking for like enemy divers trying to like plant bombs underneath a ship, and the dolphin could go up and ram into the guy, and it'll fire a bolt at him.
I'll have to add that in there.
Yeah, I've seen that. In fact, here in San Diego is where they do a lot of the training, the weaponization of marine mammals. They got the sea lions and the dolphins just here in Point Loma, where they train them and turn them into weapons. And so that's pretty controversial. There's a lot of people that are against that, but it's going to happen regardless. The military, they want to make weapons, and they make weapons. Sometimes the animals turn into weapons. But this is very interesting about dolphins because, a lot of people, a lot of research has shown that dolphins are one of the smartest, creatures on this earth. And so it's going to be really interesting to find out what they talk about. And I wonder how big their vocabulary is. I mean, do these things have like hundreds of different words? Do they have thousands?
It'd be funny if they were just like talking about really stupid shit, like, man, Deborah's so stupid. I can't believe she was doing that. And it's like, hey, bro, I'm gonna go get a burrito. I'm gonna go get some algae off this coral reef over here. I'll be right back.
Oh man, it'd be funny if we found out that they had like some secret like civilization underground that we didn't know about, where they're
That'd be amazing.
It'd be even funnier if we found out they were smarter than us.
Yeah.
And then it would be
they knew everything about us. Like they referred to me and you having this conversation because they just know everything that's happening.
It'd be really sad though, because human beings, if we found out there was some creatures smarter than us on this planet, we'd surely try to kill them all off. Unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll use them for war first, and then we'll kill them off. Yeah.
So that sounds pretty cool. And maybe the hope for humanity isn't in these warring factions of tribalists, or even the people like us who are like centrists, who we think of ourselves as above the fray, and we're beyond all that partisan bullshit and all that, even though sometimes we fall victim to it as well. Maybe hope for us lies in technology, artificial intelligence, algorithms, transhumanism. I mean, maybe this technology can help us right the wrongs that we have inherently through human nature. I mean, I don't think human beings are inherently bad. Now, obviously, we're doing really bad stuff right now. We're killing millions of people. We're displacing millions of people. We're destroying the planet. We're deforesting. We're using fossil fuels. You name it. The human being. We're polluting the ocean. We're dumping plastics into the ocean. I just read. We have an article coming out tomorrow about how, on the same topic, a whale was just found dead, poisoned by PCBs, which is a chemical that was, it's banned now, but it was prevalent up until like the late 70s, manufactured here in the United States by Monsanto. But it stays in the food chain, it stays in the ecosystem, and it moves up the food chain because it has, I think they call it bioaccumulation. So it may be absorbed by like some small organisms, and then a fish eats it, and then a bigger fish eats that, and then a whale eats the fish, and then it just keeps accumulating. And so now we're at the point where this stuff is like killing whales and stuff. So yeah, I mean, human beings have kind of outgrown our biological instincts, because we're the same, biologically speaking. We're basically the same as our ancestors that were around before we even invented farming. Biologically, we haven't changed much. Evolution in human beings and in most mammals takes a very, very long time. it takes hundreds of thousands of years for us to evolve physical traits in human beings. So maybe the bigger issue, the big problem is maybe the reason why humans do what we do is that we live in a society now. We live in modern, super cities and states and empires and countries. We're not built for that stuff. We're built to have a little tribe of, I don't know, 50 people max that would roam around, looking for food, hunting and gathering nomadically. Now we live in permanent super cities and permanent states and places where we're not built for this kind of stuff, and so we act weird and we do strange things and we want to control other people and kill other people just for, I don't know, looking different or thinking different or believing differently. And so maybe since we've evolved socially much quicker than we've evolved biologically, maybe what we need is technology to help fill in the gap, because we're not thinking right. We're doing bad things. We've got billions of people on this planet. We're not living sustainably. We're killing other people for resources. We're taking over governments. We're throwing people in jail for stupid shit. We're not thinking right. And maybe we need these robots to come in and help us think correctly or act right. Like, we're not doing things correctly right now. It's obvious. In fact, it's become so obvious that Stephen Hawking thinks we only got 100 years left before we really screw the place up. So hopefully this technology comes along quickly, and hopefully it benefits us in a positive way, because if not, I'm not sure.
I think it will, man. I think we're going to be able to cognitively enhance. We're going to be able to enhance our cognition. We're going to be able to process more. And, it's possible that we'll actually be able to kind of gerrymander our own personalities. Now, that sounds a little creepy, and like, I don't know how into it people are going to be, but I don't know about you, but I mean, I know my own flaws. And I think most humans, if they look deep down, they know their flaws, and they result from kind of neurochemical transmissions, faulty neurochemical transmissions, aggression, extreme lust, greed, hatred, jealousy. These are emotions that I don't want to say we can code out of the human nature, because I think maybe we need a little bit of that to still be human, but certainly the excess of it, if we can, enhance our minds with technology, it's an option. It's something we need to look at, because if machines can help us be more sustainable, there's clearly an equation here that we haven't quite worked out. And if we need machine learning to help us get to that next level, I think we should give it a shot.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, we've got, like I was saying, man, biologically speaking, we are extremely well fit organisms. Like, we fuck shit up. We tore it up and we survived the best. We're the best at surviving out of all these animals. But now we're at the point where we're too good at surviving, where we may not survive because we're too good at it. So ambition and greed and aggression, these are things that before the invention of agriculture, they probably served us well. That's why you and me are alive right now, because our ancestors were ambitious, greedy, aggressive, killing machines.
Right. But now we need to be empathetic and sustainable.
Exactly. We're living in a whole different time where our bodies are telling us, yeah, dude, you need to be ambitious, you need to be cutthroat, you got to be greedy as hell, because that's how, this is how you survive. This is what our brain is telling us. This is what our body is telling us. But our reality is now different. We no longer have to go out and be cutthroat to eat. We no longer have to be killers to eat. Now technology has made a lot of things that were scarce plentiful. And so maybe technology can help us fix our faults. Thank you all for tuning in. Anti-Media Radio. Thank you all for sticking around. Interesting discussion. Jake, we'll be back.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.